Hello, I'm Bobby, and I moved from New Jersey to Florida and started a marine detailing business. So, just gonna throw this video together real quick and put it on YouTube, just because it could be a little fun to document where I am now to see where I am in the future and just keep myself humble, I guess. I don't know. I'm just putting the video together. I don't really plan on cutting it up. I think I'm going to just throw it out there and you'll hear everything, warts and all, about what's going on with me right now. And yeah, here we are. So a little about myself. So I'm from New Jersey and I don't like the cold. I did when I was growing up. I love the snow. I love playing in the snow. And then I started, working outside as I got older and became disgusted with wind and cold and cold and wind and wind and cold. And it didn't snow anymore in Jersey, really. It did it a little bit. We would get a few inches every other year, whatever it may have been. But it wasn't fun anymore. I didn't like it that much. And I talked about moving to Florida in like 2021, 2022, something like that, along those lines, and just never did it. Never took the leap of faith. And long story short, I walked outside with a buzz cut, went for a walk, was walking along the Delaware River, couldn't take it anymore, just cursed at myself the entire walk, and immediately started looking on Zillow and Indeed for jobs and places to live. And long story short, I got a job, did the interview, and he asked me, he was like, well, when do you see yourself down here at the soonest? And it was mid-November at the time. And I said, December. Let's do it. In my head, I was like, the latest is March, but I'll do it in a couple weeks. I don't even care. I'm going to just go for it. So I ended up looking on Airbnb for places to live, and this one popped up. And long story short, I ended up here in this camper. So this is an Airbnb camper. And yeah, wanted to move to Florida because of the weather, for one. And I'm a fisherman, always been a fisherman, always loved boats growing up. Didn't really have many. Didn't really have one, in the family that we would use a lot. My grandfather had boats, but we wouldn't go on it that much. But always loved boats. My dad got a boat in 2020 during COVID called the Salty Spittoon. Here we are. And loved the boat. Loved the boat. It was a great time. Would go on it as much as we possibly could. And, he got a boat a couple years ago. He got a new boat a couple years ago. And he gave me the old boat. Very nice of him. Love that boat. Salty Spittoon was a great vessel. I will miss it dearly forever. It just sold about a couple months ago. And I did that was the first boat I detailed, was Salty. And turned out pretty good. I wet sanded the entire boat by hand. My fingertips were hard. My fingertips were numb for, even months after that, just because it was such grueling work to get that boat back to life, I guess, because it was just so oxidized and without a detail for such a long time. But that's where I learned how to detail boats. With the buffer, I lost control of it and got this little scar right there. Lost control of it on the bow of the boat, right around the winch of the trailer. Lost control, bang, boom. You get the point. But yeah, love fishing, love boats. That's why I moved to Florida. That's why I'm here. And now I'm starting a business, and I don't have the most experience doing marine detailing, but I have a little bit of knowledge. I watch Drake's Detailing on YouTube. I've watched him for a long time. He does great work and teaches very well too, which is awesome for me. Without someone like that, I would kind of just be in the lion's den of this whole thing. I still have a lot of that information to utilize in my own work moving forward, but he set me in the right direction to be able to start a business and have an idea of what I'm doing. And here I am. Learned a lot from him. Now I just have to utilize that knowledge moving forward, and it's super exciting. It's really, really exciting. Another thing is too is funny as it may be, now I'm posting on social media for my business, trying to gain clients and put advertisements out there, and I'm just being this goofy guy or whatever on social media. And before these business accounts, I didn't have social media. I hated it. I thought it was such a stupid thing, for at a personal standpoint, because I would just wake up, and I caught myself doing it again today, this morning, which is not the best, but it's whatever. Just wake up and scroll through Instagram, don't like anything, don't comment anything, don't post anything. Now I'm going through DMs and trying to get jobs and connect with other people, which is cool, which is very cool. It's a new thing for me. But yeah, I was such an advocate of deleting social media and getting rid of it and not using it, and now I'm just heavily on it, which is just funny. That's just a funny way the world works, I guess, how life works, but let's see. But yeah, I'm starting a business. It's marine detailing, and I'm trying to follow in Alex Hormozi's footsteps in a way. So if you don't know who Alex Hormozi is, he's basically a shark, like Shark Tank for the most part now. He consults for companies, he something along those lines at least. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he buys certain parts of the company and builds them up, and takes profits from them once they're so built up, double, triple, quadruple the revenue and profits and whatnot. He's just a business mastermind at the end of the day. So he's always talking about, if I were to start a business, this is what I would do, XYZ. And my first steps were to do free work, which I did. Do free work, gain testimonials to spread through word of mouth, and build some relationships in the starting stages of your business. So that's what I've done so far. So my original plan for marine detailing was I was going to go to Spectrum Gel School for a marine detailing class, and then I was going to start my business. But I was recommended by a friend back at home to start now, and this was about 2 months ago. This was the beginning of February. I just finished up the class yesterday, April 3rd, and I was like, you're right. Alex Hormozi was saying, even if you don't have something to sell, try to gain an audience now. Just get on it as soon as possible. And that's the conversation I had with my friend. He was like, you should hop on social media, go find someone's boat. And even if you just do a section to buff it and make it look better, post that on social media, see if you could do a couple boats for free, and, just build a portfolio on social media to put out there. So that night I bought my buffer, I bought a few other things, I threw them in the back of my Honda Civic, and I started asking around. I started putting myself out there to a certain degree, asking coworkers hey, do you know anyone with a boat? I'll detail it for free. I just want to put myself out there, basically. So that's what I did. I detailed a 19-foot Bassmaster, and the top side was all oxidized and chipped up, so I really didn't focus too much on that. Just cleaned it up and then did the exterior. But the exterior turned out really well, even just with a heavy cut, and just got through some oxidation, brought some life back to the boat, and it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, sure, I put myself through 7 hours of work for pennies on the dollar, but it exposed me to a new venture, and it's a really cool thing to be, I guess, where I am now with this thing. So if you don't know, I post on Instagram, and the one video I put out there, it was advertising free work, which we'll get to later. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I'll just, maybe I'll get a couple people to reach out. Yeah, detail my boat for free. Yeah. Didn't go that way. Reached a bunch of people, but anyway, yeah, it's just it's cool to be where I am now, just because I can see the potential of what this thing can be. So where I am now it's still the starting steps. So I guess we'll circle back to the video I posted. So it was a video posted on Instagram, just I was a tape pull. You know, I wanted to grab some attention. I noticed that all of my tape pulls on my Instagram were getting more views than my other videos where I'm voiceovering, you know, just like the boat in general. But if I pulled tape, eyes right on it. So I started the video off with me pulling tape, and then whew, my face was right there. Said, "You weren't expecting me, were you?" And, you know, I showed the camper. I was like, this is me. This is where I live. I live in this camper, and this is what I'm doing. I'm from Jersey. I'm now in Florida. I'm in St. Pete. I'm starting a detailing business from scratch. I am following Alex Hormozi's method of building business: free work, testimonials, build relationships. So if you have a boat in the Clearwater, Tampa Bay area, let me detail it for free. Ended up getting 100,000 views on it, and so many people from the industry with boats, just support in general, which is super cool. Super weird to, you know, have people rooting me on that I never would have known otherwise. You know, that's the power, that's the beauty of social media when you use it properly, I guess, which I didn't do personally before. So that's why I didn't like it. But now that I'm using it and utilizing it properly the way it was meant to be used, okay, this is kind of cool. But yeah, sent that video out there. Got hundreds of DMs from people interested in a free detail. Obviously, I can't do every detail for free. So in my head, I was kind of just like backed into a corner immediately with all these DMs. I'm like, what do I do? Like, I can't detail all these boats for free. I can't afford it. I don't have the time for it. You know, I have a day job still. So I tried to, you know, be as fair as I possibly could. The first few people that reached out to me, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do it for free. You know, but now I have people reaching out to me like, I'll pay you money. I'll pay you money to detail my boats. I'm like, oh, well, what the hell do I do? Like, do I just tell the people that I'll do it for free? You know, the people that are reaching out for free, like, no, and, you know, I'll do it for X amount of price. And like, I just didn't know what to do. It put me into a corner a little bit. So I still am in the corner, to be honest, because I had people reaching out to me. And like, now I have a post where I'm saying I am charging, and they see the post where I'm not charging. So it's just kind of a weird thing. So that's where I am right now with that. I'm working on completely getting away from the free work. It's a blessing and a curse that the advertisement did so well. But at the end of the day, it should just be a blessing. I just have to weather the storm and, you know, get through it, basically. We'll see what happens, you know, with that. And that has to do with branding, which I will talk about, you know, later on a little bit. But where I want to be with this business, you know, right now, I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to utilize. I have to utilize this information that I know. I have to learn along the way how to do things, which is all good. It's great. Well, I'll figure it out. But like, in my head, this is a super saturated market, which is what I found out with that post. And all these people that reach out to me in the area, like, everyone has a boat. And yeah, sure, like, I thought about doing this in Jersey and just knew it would be seasonal work because of the winter time. And, you know, I knew Florida would be a little bit better, could do it year round. But in my head, I mean, yeah, I'm surrounded by water. I'm surrounded by the Gulf. I'm surrounded by Tampa Bay. There's boats everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And there's detailers everywhere. And in my head, I'm like, I can make a big thing out of this. Like, I just have to play my cards right. But like, this could be a big thing for me in the future if I learn along the way and, you know, don't just back myself into corners and, you know, ruin the opportunity that has been presented to me. And I see this thing as the sky is the limit at the end of the day, but it's just about getting there in the future. And, you know, Alex Hormozi talks about how to make more money in your business. And his big thing is, I make $1 million. How do I make $2 million? Right? And his biggest thing is double your prices. You'll lose half of your customers, but you're doing half of the work, making the same amount of money, and then slowly you'll build more customers from there, just because your work is the best. You could do the work for more, because people are like, well, why can't you do it for less? I could do it for more, and if my company and Joe's company were the same price, who would you pick? Like, you pick Bob's company because Bob's better, but Bob's company's more, so that's what you're paying for. Whatever, you get the point. But my biggest thing about that, and in my head, is like, does that make me a sellout to double my prices and build my business up? And it's kind of like a sour taste in my mouth when I think about it in the future, because I'm obviously not there right now, but one day it will happen and I'll have to address it. And it's just not gonna be, I don't love the idea of it, but I think I have a workaround for it once this thing really does start getting to rolling. But we'll see what happens with that. I don't want to be a sellout, though. Does that make me a sellout? I'm not really sure. Possibly. I mean, I want success in my life, and I'm a hardworking, driven person, and I've always struggled with the jobs I've worked because I'm never paid off of merit. And this situation, I can be paid off of merit. The more I put in, the more I get out. So, I don't know. I don't know if that makes me a sellout. I don't want to be a complete sellout in this thing, but I am going to have to adapt to make the right decisions for what's best for my business and what's best for me. And one thing I can say to rebuttal the sellout argument, if you call me a sellout for doing that, is that I have a lot of people reaching out to me, and their boat's in bad shape, right? And it needs a lot of work. And I'll tell them that, and I'll tell them the price, and it's just out of the park, completely unattainable for them to spend the money to put into the boat. And I can't operate a business like that. I need people that are willing to put the money out to fix their boat. There's a lot of old boats that are in bad shape that haven't been cared properly, and I would love to put the time in to restore them and make them look better and bring them a new life. But a lot of these boat owners don't have the mentality to spend the money on this investment, quote unquote. And that won't work out for me at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I can't have influx of people with old boats that want it to look better but don't have the motivation or budget, quote, to do that. So that's a rebuttal for the sellout argument, I guess, but we'll see. But yeah, let's talk about my brand struggle currently. So my current brand label of Bobbin Boats is my free work. I got 100,000 views. 100,000 people saw that I'm advertising myself for free work to detail boats, and currently that is what is labeled for Bobbin Boats, and that's a bit of a struggle for me. So I was watching a Hormozy video yesterday, just speaking about branding, and he made a metaphor that your brand is like a bouquet of flowers, and you put all these nice, beautiful flowers in, and build it up to show the world what your brand is, and put these other pieces in. I try to wear these shirts for a uniform. Obviously it's not Bobbin Boats, but it's something. It's blue. You see blue. I try not to wear anything else other than my old Salty Spittoon shirts for my brand. That's a flower in the bouquet. The end detail being better than the finished product of the boat being better than it was to begin with. Like, this guy comes out and makes your boat look better. That's a part of the brand. That's a bouquet, a flower in the bouquet, and just X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. You put flowers in the bouquet. and you make this big pretty picture. But if you take a shitty flower and put it in the bouquet, you'll look in the bouquet and you're like, well, that's a shitty flower, that's a shitty bouquet, just because of that one flower. And as of right now, that shitty flower in the bouquet is my free work that I advertised, and I just have to keep pushing through to get past that. Tiger Woods, he had issues in the past. He's the best golfer to ever exist, but he had his struggles in the past, and put those shitty flowers in the bouquet, and he just kept working, golfing, blah blah blah, whatever, PGA Tour, and eventually you pluck it out. He plucked it out because he just kept putting pretty flowers in the bouquet. And like Kanye West, whatever it may have been, however many times, same ordeal. This is what Hormozy said. Like, he had this big bouquet, and then he talks bad about the Jews, or does whatever the hell Kanye West does, and he puts a shitty flower in, and then he keeps putting shit in. And then there's Bud Light, when they did the whole rainbow, and that was good advertising but bad branding, because everyone saw it and a lot of people didn't like it, so they tried to switch it up by putting themselves in with the UFC, partnering with like Shane Gillis, the man's man comedian, so putting more flowers in the bouquet to make it better, rebuild the brand, XYZ. But yeah, so anyway, what I'm trying to do is get away from that, get away from the free work, and my brand being to have a result of a good looking boat, a better looking boat than what it originally was, a protected boat. I want to educate people about boat maintenance when it comes to gel coat and waxing their boat and getting rid of oxidation. That could be a part of the brand, whatever it may be. I'm still learning a lot when it comes to branding and business and everything. I've learned a lot from Alex Hormozy, just watching him through these past few years, and just the stuff he says, and super cool stuff. But I just have to utilize it and understand it with my own operation of all this now. Maybe I can really hear things and actually understand them now that I'm in different situations. But yeah, that's a bit of my brand struggle, and here we are. So like I said before, I have a day job. I work 35, 40 hours a week typically, and then on the side I've been doing the boat detailing on my days off. I'll go detail a boat, and as of right now, I'm super motivated, super determined. This is all the beginning steps. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'll work however many hours I work at my day job, and then I'll go out and I'll detail boats afterwards or before, and I'm just gonna put my head down, just grind for as long as I can, working however many hours a week, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, however many I can. And I just know that eventually I'm going to burn out, and that's fine. I'll just, sit back, take a day, regather my thoughts, try to decompress myself, and get right back to it. Eventually I'll start weaning back my hours at my day job once that makes more sense. Now it's just too early to be doing such a drastic jump of my life when I don't, know exactly what I'm doing with this thing. I'm still learning with this thing. And yeah, so I mean, it will happen. I don't know when. I've been super tired, just doing as much as I possibly can, pulling 12, 14 hour days when it comes to working my day job and detailing boats. I've done a couple of those, and it's rewarding. It's draining, and I'll have to find a way to bring back motivation once I do get that burnout. But it has been fairly easy to push through these tired times, and lacking, or sleep, being deprived of sleep. It's been on the easier side to do that move so far, but it will get hard, and I'll have to work around the motivation of it once the time comes. But as of right now, I'm in an okay spot. One good night of sleep does wonders for me. But yeah, it's just this thing's gonna be levels of unlocking levels of knowledge, information, skill, whatever it may be. I'm just gonna have to continue to level up this thing and go from there, and we'll see what happens, But I'll just throw my numbers in at the end of this thing. I think I hit mostly every point that I would like to, and the update, and here I am with the business type of ordeal. But I'll throw out my expenses out there. So it's on my phone, so I'll just go off like the top of my head of what this is. But I know my ending numbers each month. So February, that was the first month that I started out, and I'll preface this by saying I started my LLC up north with $1,000, threw $1,000 in the bank account. I had a project boat I spent a lot of it on, and then I had, I think, like $300 or $400 left, and that's where I bought my buffer and some of my supplies and this and that and whatever, blah blah blah. And from there, I kind of just I haven't exactly taken money out of my own personal account to put in there, technically, but anyway, so February I did a couple boats. I don't know how many, but a few of them paid me a couple bucks here and there. But at the end of the month, I was down money. I think that my revenue for February was like $655 or something along those lines, $600. And at the end of the month, I was down $450, $500. So in the negative of profit to revenue, to expenses to profit. My profit was negative 500. I didn't hit negative in the bank account or anything. It was just I didn't make any money. It's just it was all in expenses, building up the business. And then March, this was a big month for me. I had a lot of expenses. I got like a pressure washer, a vacuum, a dual action polisher, a few other things like other supplies, whatever it may have been. But at the end of the month, I spent $2,000, and that was my expenses. And then my revenue was like 2,600 or something along those lines. So for March, my total profit was around $600. And then now, I just spent more money yesterday. It's April. I just spent like $500 on a pack out system to put all of my business, material, my buffer, my polisher, my pads, just everything in the pack out. It's in the back of the Civic, just clogged up in there. I've got the pressure washer, the vacuum in there, but it's nice and organized. So now I can put all my stuff on this pack out system and roll it to each job. Looks super professional, very cool. And I have jobs lined up for this month, for this week to be exact. And I will be gaining the money back. I will be getting the money back. But April, I just want to see. I want to keep the expenses at an absolute all-time minimum and see how much I can actually profit off of this thing with a full month of just basically material expenses. Nothing really more, I'll buy something if I really need it. I'd like to buy Meta glasses in the future. Not going to happen now. I want to build up my bank account first before I do something like that. And there's other things I have ideas for, but not quite the time yet. So I'm going to see if I can just do strictly material expenses for the most part for my business for the month of April. Now that I bought that pack out system, it was necessary though. Got to look professional. I don't regret I did it. yeah, it just makes me upset that I told myself that April was going to be the month that I just keep expenses at an all-time low. And it was necessary, though. It was definitely necessary. I have other things I need to buy to level up my business in the future, but I think I can get by with what I'm working with now for the month, other than material, obviously. And we'll go from there. So yeah, I spent about $500-600 for the month of April. It's April 4th right now, and I want to see how much I can profit. I want to see what the heck I can do with this thing for the month of April. And this is where I am right now. This is it. This is the beginning steps of Bobbin Boats. 2 months in the making for the most part. And yeah, follow along for the ride. Let's make something fun out of this thing. This is literally the American dream. I moved down here from New Jersey. I live in a camper. I put everything in my Honda Civic. I live out of the car. I got cardboard boxes that I live out of in this thing, and this is it. This is the American dream. This is the opportunity that I made for myself, and I'm gonna have to capitalize on it and make something happen out of this thing one way or the other. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not the dumbest person in the world. I can be a big time idiot, but hopefully I can be smart with this thing. Hopefully I can be smart, and as of right now, when it comes to viewers, I don't really have anything on YouTube. I don't have many people that watch me on YouTube or anything. I'll post this on my Instagram and Facebook for people to look at and maybe watch, but this thing's 32 minutes long. I don't know who the hell wants to listen to me talk for that long. I guess we'll see. But yeah, if you are here, enjoy the ride, and maybe in the future you're scrolling down my YouTube and you come along this video, and this is the true origin of Bobbin Boats in Florida, St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa Bay area. I don't know. And yeah, let's see what the hell we can make out of this thing. That's all I got for now.